particularly when you're coaching, I think, and in sports and in other areas as well, I think the most important thing for me is getting to know people well enough to know how they like to be communicated with, because people are different now. Like, it's not on a phone or face-to-face. Some people don't like that. I remember, leading players in this team that needed me to go straight at them between the eyes. Just be better. This isn't good enough. But then another person might need a different form of communication of, let me give a positivity first. And then, I think it's about knowing how people want to receive communication and make sure that's two-way. I don't think it can't be one way. So learning about the language they respond to best, I think, is important there. But for me, I just lean on the truth always. I always lean on the truth, because if I would never want someone to wonder if what I said was true or not, or if I was just saying it to make them feel good. But that goes back to building relationships so strong they can bear the truth. I think that's one of the most important things I lean on is truth. I think for probably 2 hacks I've had that I use on the daily almost is, or particularly when I was doing, pre-game speech, halftime, even in meetings, delivering things in meetings, whatever it was, is delivery over content. I used to spend so much time on the content I was delivering to the team, like my halftime speech, my pre-game speech, my this, my that, instead of how I was delivering it to them. And that's like passion, body language, all those things that go into it is the sell. I was watching, literally just yesterday, watching Kevin Hart talk about green super powder. Like, I was so engrossed in what he was saying because of the way he was telling the story that I was like, I need to buy that. I didn't even hear what it was about. Yeah. It was just so captivating. And I think I know I have spent way too much time on content and not enough time on delivery. So when I heard that, I was like, oh, this is what I need. Obviously, the content needs to be good still, but people are watching how you're giving it to them more than what you're saying. And look, there's the little things like, I don't give more than 3 things in a halftime, or I don't give my kids more than one thing to do at a time. There's little ways to be clear, and it's by not over speaking, not over coaching, not over complicating, but also, to just deliver something with a little bit of gusto, and it kind of goes a long way.
Yeah, I think you need to keep the message really simple, but you need to be clear and concise, and you need to inspire high standards. So high standards aren't only applicable to the highest level. High standards we can apply at any level. So you need to have that about you or part of your makeup, so you have high standards when you're teaching. But again, letting your passion and enthusiasm flow. Specifically, because I'm from a fire service background, so as a station officer, so communicating with clarity is critical because they could be life and death situations. So an example of that would be, you have a crew working with you, you might go into a fire situation, so you'd explain, you discuss the method of how we're going to control this situation, and then you'd discuss that with your team. But then as you task them, you'd identify the task and then get them to repeat that task back to you. Okay, so we've got absolute clarity on what we're doing. And then when they go in, we know that they can perform that task, or we're aiming towards that goal. So that clarity is super important in emergency services. So I guess that's where I learned that. But when you talk about communicating with clarity, so in the road safety space, a little bit different. So it'll be the key messages. So in RAP, the Road Awareness Program, we'd have the key messages of, you get to choose the risk, you don't get to choose the consequence. What we do know is that most people will take what they feel emotionally away from that presentation, and that'll give them the passion to go forward and want to be part of it. But what messages will they remember? So that consistency of that same saying. So we might say that saying 20 times during a presentation, and it might be the one thing that they go away with. So keeping it simple, reinforcing the message, and understanding that people aren't going to take away lots of messages. They might just take away a few. And if they take away the main ones that are going to empower them to change their behaviours, they're really important. So that reinforcement of the message. So I say to the parents, this is the new paradigm we're coaching under. These are the 3 values. And in relation to respect, your children will no longer be able to argue an umpire's decision. We'll teach it at training, we'll teach the reaction, and I will never argue an umpire's decision as a coach. Can you guys support me? I'm talking to the parent group now. Can you support me in doing this? Well, the parents look over at their kids that they love, and they're looking over at me, the coach that hopefully they'll respect, that's trying to bring good values to the game. Well, they're not going to say no in front of their kids. So they make a commitment to their children who they love. They make a commitment to the coach who hopefully they respect. They're also making a commitment with their cohort of parents that they're not going to say a word about umpires' decisions. So now we're all on the same page. So the coach, who that's his job to coach, he's actually coaching the whole team. He's coaching the kids and he's coaching the parents. And this is just one area of it. But I can tell you, in 4 years of coaching this same team, we have an unbelievable relationship with the players and the parents. But my parents, they police that. I don't police their behaviour. They know that's what we're about. They want to be honest to their kids and they want to be honest to the coach. So they're all supporting it. So we don't have issues from our parents. Honestly, we don't, mate. And this can be taught. It's a taught behaviour and we need to take that responsibility.
When you can actually crack through that and that becomes your operating rhythm, your efficiency goes through the roof. It's like a vertical curve because you're not trying to have to explain things. You say what you mean. If you're not saying it fast enough, you'll be sped up to get to the point. And then we thrash out. We will rigorously debate. If you weren't part of our organisation, you'd find that it was almost offensive the way that we talk to each other. Not in terms of language, but like, what do you mean? That doesn't make sense. Say what you mean. And then what happens is there's just this beautiful sort of cycle of ideas comes out of it and it gets tested at a rapid rate. And then all of a sudden you've got a solution. And so as I said, it's not for everyone, but those guys that are in the team that can handle it, thrive in it. And then they create that culture for the next generation that come through the organisation because we're literally plucking kids out of university.
Keep it simple. I mean, we're very fortunate as leaders today with the advancement in technology that we have. So the means to communicate, visuals, use a lot of visuals. There's an old saying, pretend you're talking to intelligent 12-year-olds. That's not meant to be demeaning to people, but the reality is that when, for instance, if I'm giving an hour-long presentation, I've got to focus really, what are the 3 or 4 things at the end of that hour I want people to remember, and make sure that you're clear about that, you talk about it, you tell them you're going to tell them about it, then you tell them about it, and then you tell them what you've told them effectively. And like I said to you, Luke, we've had the same strategy for 13 years. Our people get it now. And that's the value of consistency. Now, like I said, we'll play around with the execution of that strategy and the emphasis within the strategy of what we're doing at a point in time. But we always need to be true to ourselves and what it is that we're trying to do, because it's at that level that our people understand what we are trying to do.
This has been a journey, Luke. I've learned to be a bit more direct with people, hopefully without being sort of rude and impolite. So I can have very direct conversations with people, with whether it's Alan or Gil or Meg or directors, because I think that clarity's important. Do I enjoy sitting down with someone and say, I think you did a really rubbish job? No. I don't know who enjoys that stuff, but have I learnt to sit down and say, actually, you could have done that better, and these are what I think you should have done. I think I'm a lot better at that now than I was 20 years ago. And it's a skill I think you sort of have to develop. But also, I've had feedback along the way that people have felt they weren't getting enough feedback from me, and I was shocked when I got that feedback. I thought, oh gee, I'm pretty good at that, and then I reflected on it and said, actually no, I'm not. I'm bloody hopeless at it in the circumstances I was talking about. So hopefully I'm a bit better. It also comes with relationships. I think once you build trust with someone, you can have that much more direct conversation.
Well, you gotta be tough-minded and caring at the same time. Whatever you coach and whatever philosophies you have, there are fundamentals. And how you make them teachable, acceptable, and committed to is the beginning of coaching. We're teachers. We are mentors. We are psychologists. But we are also friends. I don't think the old school of dictator, angry man, angry woman, boot camp type of mentality is going to win anymore. in coaching. Our players today are smarter, they're wiser, and they know more stuff than we know when we started coaching, when we started playing. The window of learning how to motivate, how to inspire, how to connect, how to get out of the way, how to allow the process of a team to come together. I think the best wisdom I had is what I said at the beginning of the show. I mean, I've always believed in communication, but now it's more than communication. It's connection.